I'm sharing my screen. Right. So yesterday we have seen the syntaxes, how a class is defined, and inside a class how the property is declared, as well as how the method is declared, along with all its respective syntaxes that we have seen. Right. Now let's look at the different types of methods supported by Java programming language. So the very first thing is constructor methods. So constructor methods are the ones which are useful to construct the object of that class. We know that an object is nothing but the instantiation of a class. So when you are going to instantiate that class, you need to invoke the constructor of that class. So far we already executed couple of constructors. Like when you wanted to create a vehicle object, you said new vehicle, open bracket, close bracket. It is nothing but the constructor. When you wanted to instantiate the box class yesterday, you said box b1 equal to new box, right? Box followed by open bracket, close bracket. It is nothing but a constructor. So that way every class has got a default constructor which does not take any parameters by default. That is known as the no arg constructor. Every class is having by default inside it, implicitly it is available. And name of the constructor should be same as the name of the class, right? So in addition to performing the creation of a blank object without taking any parameters and all, in case if you wanted to initialize any values all that during the creation of that particular object, so in that case we will be passing some parameters to the constructor of the class, so that whenever you are going to make a call to that constructor, you can pass the parameters and those parameters can be initialized to your properties. For example, we know that yesterday we created a box class. We know that our box class is going to be the empty class, empty box it is creating. But inside that empty box, in case if you wanted to initialize all those properties, length, width and height with zeros, right? That job you can do by writing that constructor. You can write that constructor and you can initialize all those values, whatever the values you would like to initialize for the properties of that box class. Or in case if you wanted to create the box object by passing your own parameters, so that you can avoid the invocation of setter methods, like you don't want to say set height, set length, set width, all that every time. So while creating the box itself, you want to pass the respective values. For that also you can define the box constructor which can take all these parameters. So this is the no arg constructor, and this is known as the argument constructor, which is taking 3 arguments and each argument is assigned to the respective private properties of that class. So this is how it looks like, right? So let's define these things. So even the box constructor, it looks like a method, but the thing is that if it is a method, it should be returning some data type, at least the void value should be returned. But here it is not going to return you anything, just it is going to create the instance of that class, which is nothing but referred as an object, right? So yesterday who was sharing the screen, so let's go to that guy. Or anybody already done with that box class? Let us add these two constructors in your box class. So who would like to share the screen?
Can I share my screen?
Yes, yes, Raja. I'm making you the present. Right. So if you go to box, yes, box.java. All right. So in that box.java, Now let us define the constructors. So let me give you those two constructors. You can paste them there. So first define this no arg constructor. Copy this and paste it at line number 9. Then another constructor. Okay, press Ctrl Shift F so that it will be properly aligned. Now go to the top. Right. So line number 10 to 15 is the box constructor with no arguments. Then once again the same constructor is defined, but this time the 3 arguments. Right. Save this. Now let's go to box test.java. Box test, not byte test. Box test.java, wherein you are trying to create all those box details, right? For example, let's say 6, 7, 8. Select those lines and then comment them. You can press Ctrl 7 to comment. Not sure what is the key in your Mac box. Right, Ctrl 7, Command 7, I think.
Comments.
Right, okay, fine. Now save this and run this. You are not invoking any of the setter methods. You are simply creating the box object v1 by instantiating the no arg constructor. It is printing you these details. Right?
Yes.
Means by default the width is 0, length is 0, height is 0, all that. Right? Now let's create another box object there itself. After line 13, just say box b2 equal to, take one more break. I mean, that is all about the box object, b1 object, and this will be the next object. New box, and for this box let us pass some values. Let's say 3, 5, 7. Right. So I am invoking the box constructor with 3 parameters. Right. Now you can copy line 9, 10, 11, 12 and paste it. Right. Just say box b2 details, b2.get width, b2.get length, b2.get height, all that. Save this and run this. Let's see what will happen. So it is going to create you the second box object whose width is 5, length is 3, height is 7. So in that order the values are assigned to that box object. So this way, while instantiating the object itself, in case if you wanted to initialize any of its private properties or any other properties, we will be able to use the constructors like this, right? So this is how the constructors look like. And no constructor is going to return you any data type. So it just tries to create the object. And you can also observe one more thing here, that there are two constructors we defined in box class. Both the constructors are named same, because constructor name should be same as the name of the class. Can you go to box.java? Name of the constructor should be same as the name of the class. So public box, no arguments, public box with arguments. So name of the constructor remains same. So this way, if you keep on writing the multiple versions of the same constructor with different number of parameters or the different data types of parameters, all that, it is known as the constructor is getting overloaded. right? So already there is a constructor available at line 10 and your line 17 constructor is overloading it. So this way, whenever you are overloading the constructor, there are multiple copies of constructor are available. Not multiple copies, multiple versions we can say. So one version doesn't take argument, the other version takes the arguments. So that way, based on the invocation, the respective constructor will be called. Right? Name of the constructor remains same, but it is going to act differently based on how you are going to invoking them. This feature is called as the polymorphism. Right? Polymorphism means one name, different actions. So here the name of the constructor is box, but it acts differently based on the different parameters you are passing to that. So this feature should be referred as polymorphism, and this polymorphism is implemented by overloading and overriding. These are the two techniques that are used to implement polymorphism. Right? We'll see them. We'll go there. And in addition to these overloaded methods, overridden methods, there are some other types of methods. Whenever you wanted to access the data, then you are invoking getter methods like get width, get length, all these things. Right? And then setter methods. In case if you want to modify the value, then you will be using the setter methods which are going to muting the values. They are also known as mutator or transformer methods. Right? So always the best programming suggestion, best programming practice is that define the properties in that class as the private properties and then provide the getters and setters that should be considered as the perfect example for your object encapsulation. Right? So in addition to these types of methods, there will be another type of method called helper method, which is helpful to provide some utility functionality. Like for example, get volume is there in your case, which is trying to calculate the volume and returns the data. That should be considered as the helper method, right? So these are all the different types of methods like constructor methods, getter methods, setter methods, overloaded methods, overridden methods, helper methods. They are all known as the different types of methods, right? So that's how we are going to work with. And remember that Java allows us to create the objects but not to destruct the objects. So as soon as whenever we are saying new, it keeps on creating. Right? Once you are instantiating any class, that means that the object has got created over there. This new keyword is going to allocate certain memory for that object. So that way, as many instances as possible we will be able to create, right? But we will not be destroying any objects programmatically. The destruction activity will be taken care internally. I mean, whenever the object becomes unused object or an orphan object, then Java is going to keep monitoring for such unused objects and it is going to flag it. It is going to apply the appropriate garbage collection whenever it is needed. So whenever it is applying the garbage collection, means whenever it is going to grab it into the garbage, then it is going to invoke an internal method, inbuilt method called as finalize method. So that finalize method is to ensure that the non-Java resource like any file object or window object, all such things need to be released first from the memory. So that is what the finalize is going to be internally doing, right? So that's how you will be able to work with all these different types of methods. So this PDF is already uploaded there for your reference in your shared folder, so you can go through that. So all you guys downloaded the folders, I mean the PDF files and the MP4 files that are uploaded there in your shared folder. If not yet done,
Yes, sir.
do so, right? It's not going to be staying there forever. So please do download as soon as possible because I am going to do some cleanup maybe today or tomorrow because my Google Drive limit is reaching its maximum limit. So I need to do the cleanup. Right? So now let's take a look at polymorphism. So polymorphism, as we said just now, it is the capability for certain action or for certain method which is going to do differently based on how you invoke that particular method against an object, right? So this way this polymorphism capability is going to be implemented in Java language by defining something in terms of overloaded methods or overloaded constructors, all that. So overloading is nothing but name remains same, but the arguments are going to be different. I mean the parameters are going to be different. Either number of parameters should be different or the data types of the parameters should be different. Whereas overriding means there will be superclass and there will be subclass. So in the superclass, whatever the functionality defined with the same number of parameters, same data types of parameters, all that, it is going to be rewritten with the same type signature, with the same name, with the same return type, with the same argument list, all that in the subclass. That is called as overriding. Overriding means rewriting the functionality in subclass from its parent class. That is called as overriding. Overloading is, it is going to happen within the same class. For example, one beautiful example that we can see for overriding is that you can type sysout or type system.out anywhere. Type system.out. Okay, write that sysout inside any constructor, it will come. It will not come outside, but write it inside somewhere, right? Okay. Now press control space bar within those brackets. Right. See, those many number of versions are there defined in that print stream object. So print stream is nothing but your system.out is the instance of print stream, and that print stream class has defined you println without parameters, println with boolean parameter, println with char parameter, println with char array parameter, println double parameter. So that many number of versions of println are there, right? So what they are all, where they are all defined? They are all defined in the same class called print stream. So that's how we can say that println is nothing but the overloaded method available inside the print stream class, and it is capable of taking accepting any parameter and then do the printing job for us, so that the output will be displayed on our console, whatever the data it is, whether it is string data, double data, int data, whatever it is, right? So that way we are able to see. So this println system.out.println is the one beautiful example for your overloaded mechanism, right? Someone is asking something. Is it clear? So like that we'll also try to write our own way of overloading. So in this case we just now done with the overloaded constructors, and in addition to that we can also write some overloaded methods as well, right? So let's write a separate program to understand that overloading thing. So write a new program, new class, name that new class as overloading test. Can you please mute Raja?
What happens, sir?
Can you please mute? I'm getting my voice back sometimes. Okay. Right. No problem. No. Okay, now here overloading test is the public class. So in addition to defining this public class overloading test, copy these lines of code at line 2. Means I am trying to declare another class in the same program. In the same .java file, we would like to define another class, call it as A, class A. Copy all these lines of code at line 2. No. You copied them at wrong place. Yeah, it should be another class, right? And then copy and paste the remaining lines of code at line 23. Right? Press Ctrl Shift F. Right. So here you can see that class A is declared in the same program, same .java file. Right? So source file is only one. But if you go and verify in your bin folder, there will be two .class files. Right? Save these things and just go back to your Explorer. I mean the physical location of these files. My core Java practice bin folder. Go there inside the bin folder. Right? You can maximize this. You'll be able to see that mycom.oops.practice is your own folder. There you see. A.java we did not create, but A.class got generated here, and overloading test.class is also generated. So if you say Control A, how many .class files are there? So altogether 13 items are there. Now go back and verify there in your src folder. Just check that how many are there. Right, only 12 items are there. Right, 12 .java files are there, but 13 .class files are there. So how they got created is because we wrote one public class. So that public class is the one that should be saved under the same resource. I mean, since your file name is the overloading test.java, so with that file name there should be only one public class exist. And in addition to that one public class, you can also define the regular classes without providing any access specifier there, neither public nor private nor protected, just the default access specifier you can apply. So that way you are creating class A there. Can you go back to your Eclipse? So that way class A is defined. So if you scroll up onto that class A, you can see that so many constructors got declared. So there is a default constructor which does not take any arguments. There is a constructor that takes int parameter. There is another constructor that takes two int parameters. There is a constructor A that takes boolean parameter, double parameter. So all these are what? The constructor is getting overloaded there. And then show method is there which is not returning anything but void. Right? And show without parameters, show with two integer parameters, show with float parameter. Right? So three different versions of show method are there. And then there are two versions of add method are there. One add method is trying to return int value and is taking two int values as its input parameters, and the other add method is the one which takes two double values d1 and d2 and returns you the double value only. So here you can say that constructor overloading is done for the constructor A, and also show method is overloaded, as well as add method is also overloaded with the same number of parameters but the different types of parameters, and also the return type is different. Right? Now, in case if I want to create the object of class A, what should I do? Go inside the main method. So how do you create your class A? I mean, how do you instantiate your class A? Like this. For example, you can copy these two lines inside the main method. You can say A obj equal to new A. So I am trying to pass the boolean parameter to that. So let's see what it is going to do. So it is going to invoke the constructor that was defined with that Boolean parameter, right? And also I am trying to invoke my show method which takes the two integer values, right? Save this, try to run this. Let's see what the output will come, right? So A with Boolean parameter. If I remove that A, I mean the false. So let's see what will happen. It is going to invoke me the constructor with no arguments. Run. It says it is the default constructor of class A and your show method is invoking with the two integer parameters. So that's how we are trying to display the values over there, right? So this is called as how do you invoke the appropriate methods when you are trying to do the overloading. And similarly, in case if I want to invoke the add method, for example like this, copy these lines and paste them after line 50. I would like to declare two variables double d1 and d2 and then wanted to invoke the add method of my object. obj.add d1 comma d2 I am trying to say. Save this and run this. Right, there you go. Suppose if I rename them, I mean instead of double variable if I say int d1, just double click on double keyword, double click on that and then delete. It will not be 22.5, it will be 22. And also try this if you want. D1 is correct. So why to change the range? Yeah. Save, run. There you go. Sum of 22 and 34.6 is 56.6. Means which method it is trying to invoke? It is trying to invoke the add method that takes two double values. Even though you are passing one int value and one double value, since that method signature is not available, it takes the bigger precision value. If you pass both int values, int d1 and d2, to modify that d2 as int, right, 34. Now let's check, save, run. So what happens this time? It is going to invoke the add method that takes both int parameters, right? So that is how we will be able to invoke the appropriate methods. So that is how the respective method is going to perform the appropriate action. So one name, different actions is called as polymorphism. And it is implemented by overloading. So overloading is one of the techniques to implement polymorphism. And there is another technique called overriding. So we'll see that how do the overriding will work. So let's create a new method. I mean new class. So overriding means a subclass is going to redefine the functionality which is already available, already inherited from its superclass. Right? So create a new class, name it as overriding test and take the main method in that. Overriding test. And also take the main method. So copy these two classes at line number 2. So since already class A got declared in your previous program, so I cannot redeclare the same class A again. So this time it should be class B, because they are all going to be stored in the same package, right? So in the same package, class A cannot be repeated. It will say that duplicate class. So that's how I am trying to define class B with one single method called void show, and then class C, which is extended from B. So B is the superclass and C is the subclass of it. And I am trying to rewrite the functionality of that show. Right? Now, inside my overriding test main method, let's say if I create the object of B, what will happen? Like this. Copy these two lines. I am saying B obj1 equal to new B and then obj1 dot show. Press Ctrl Shift F. Save this and run this. So what will happen? Show method from the object B will get executed because obj1 is the instance of B. So it is straightforward invocation. So from there it is getting invoked and is going to print me the output like that. And in case if I am going to instantiate the object C like this, I mean another object obj2, copy this. So if I say C obj2 equal to new C, copy these two lines. Yeah, if you want to type, you can type. So I am instantiating the class C and then invoking the show method. So this time what will happen? The show method from class C gets executed. Right? Makes sense. So it is not invoking the show method from its parent class. For example, go to line 10, 11, 12 and comment those three lines. Select those three lines, line 10 and 11, press Ctrl 7. Right. Save this now. So this time object C got created, but when you are invoking the show method, since the show method is not available inside the class C, it is available in its parent's class, right? So it is going to invoke that. Let's verify that. There you go. So both the times the show method is coming from the class B. Even though your obj2 is the instance of class C, it is giving you the output from its parent class. Right? So when you are going to redefine that functionality in itself, then it won't go to its parent. Right? So as long as it is available in itself, it won't go to its parent class. Right? Control Z, win uncomment. Right. Save it and try to run it now. So this is going to invoke the respective object. Now, for example, if I am going to create obj3 like this, copy this. This is also the valid instantiation. I can instantiate the sub-object and reference it with the superclass variable. So my obj3 is the superclass variable, but it is pointing to the instance of class C. So this time when you say obj3.show, what it is going to invoke? Tell me, is it going to invoke the show method from its parent class or from the current class, child class? Save it and run it. So obj3 is a type of variable B. B is the superclass, but it is pointing to the instance of class C. Hence the show method should be executed from the instance. Right? Means it is going to invoke the show method from class C. Right? So this is how you will be able to verify the overriding as well. Right? So that is how the three major principles known as PIE principles, P-I-E, P for polymorphism, I for inheritance, E for encapsulation. These three principles are known as the major principles of object-oriented programming. Right? Three main principles of object-oriented programming are pi principles: polymorphism, inheritance and encapsulation. Okay, so that is all about how do you understand the different types of methods and how do you implement the polymorphism. Then going forward we'll try to understand the abstraction and the interfaces, right? So we'll stop here for now. Any questions either from the current class or from your previous classes? Anything is fine. Okay, please download the material that is already uploaded there. And keep practicing the things as much as you can do. Let me know if you are facing any issues. Alright, so if you have any questions we can discuss. Otherwise disperse. Okay then, thank you. See you tomorrow. Right, thank you guys. Thank you.